Welcome to
Mhm.
Exhibit A, first online quarantine edition. We're here with Fani, Elliot holding it down for the Whitaker Group, APD, social status, on my mayor. All of it. Soul representing, Thrice School, boy Champagne Trap. He said he's going to be joining us sometime soon. He just woke up or something. So he's going to pop in here eventually. You know how he does.
Man, didn't
So,
say he just woke up. I'm gonna get on his head, bro.
yeah, man, how you feeling today?
Everything's everything, man.
Me?
Another day, continuing to push on through. Definitely excited to present things today. The first one we did obviously was when everything was kind of in some sort of balance in a way. Just kind of definitely shedding the light and presenting the platform for not just what we do that people have seen from a musical standpoint, but as well as just like imagery, design, lifestyle. I like to say lifestyle more with Exhibit A. So just capturing that energy. But yeah, everything's good outside on a personal note. Just continuing to stay positive, put the best foot forward, make the most of everything, man, and adapting. Like I hope that we all are. So everything's everything.
Cool. And Fani, you good, man? You good on that side?
I'm super straight, bro.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, shit, man.
Super straight.
It's good to hear. It's been a minute since I really talked to you. I know he's been by the spot a few times during this period.
You talk about E?
I'm talking about you. I'm just saying, like, it's been a
Oh,
minute since I've been over there. I know he's been over there a couple times,
no, definitely.
but everything is still good on that side. It's good to hear.
Yeah, like actually we need to I'm glad you said that because really what we should do is like connect like this concept to like an event, but I'm glad I just thought about that. Maybe I should even held that thought till after. But
It,
you
it
know what I
makes,
mean? But no, neither here nor there. It's like we should revisit this
oh yeah,
in a few, you know? But
yeah.
neither here nor there. Yeah, man, I'm good. Everything's good. Y'all gotta come by, you know.
Oh,
Absolutely.
we'll definitely revisit it, and just to kind of let you know, this was an event, but then quarantine happened.
Right.
We were doing this over at the space right next to Mayor, and the first one we focused on photographers. We had three different photographers from the city display their work, kind of talk about the process and things like that. But due to the virus hitting, we had to kind of transition into a online platform, and this is kind of the format that we came upon. And rather than doing three or four or however many creators at one time, I figure why not focus on one person. We can get more in depth and really get to you know dissect your work, your mind. You do what you do. So,
For sure. Let's get into it then.
all right. Well, shit, man. Do you want to kind of introduce yourself and what you do, or I know what you do, but just to for the people that are tuned in right now or will tune in later.
Yeah, I mean, my name is, well, I go by Fani. That's like a nickname, but my full name's Fani Dennis. And I'm a creative director and a designer at Original Fani Design. Um, you know, I spent a lot of time redefining the company, what it is, because I started just doing graphic design in the hip hop industry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like I'm, an Atlanta-based brand. I look up to like Fujiwara and like Anwar Carrots, Joe Fresh Goods, and yeah, I'm trying to do like push that my narrative story
Mm-hmm.
in this city. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's been great.
So how long have you been, in the graphic design discipline?
I've I've been doing graphic design for the last 10 or even 13 years. Like I started messing around. I kind of started in PowerPoint, but this was
Power.
like a long, yeah, literally in
Wait.
PowerPoint. I used to like try to put like Milo looking characters and Pharrell looking characters together, and
Mm-hmm.
and after that, I ended up doing some flyers for like a local pizza bar that's down the street, and also linking up with like Siege, Jay's 29 when I went to Clark, Retro Sushi, and then started, that's where I found my way into the hip hop industry just after doing like a mixtape cover, doing merch, doing another mixtape cover. I actually just had a thread on Twitter about like some of the favorite covers I did, top 10. I don't even know if it's the top 10 because I didn't really look at everything, but it's some of my favorites and classic songs that people can remember that, I did cover art for. 2-9 was a few of them. Cody Shane, Metro, Future. Anything I did for Future too at that time came to Metro. So it's just like, yeah, that's how I got my start. Graphic design, Chicago born, Atlanta raised, went to Clark,
Okay. What was your Clark experience like? My sister went to Clark, by the way. I didn't know that she went to Clark myself. So what was your
Yeah, I
experience like?
went to Clark for like a year, but I ended up hanging out there for like 4 years. But
Yeah.
I think Clark in Atlanta, the networking you can do here is really insane. Like
Oh yeah.
DJ Drama and Don Cannon went to Clark, and DJ Sense and the affiliates, all that stuff was born just because you had these guys in Atlanta who had access to doing all different type of stuff. So that's literally like, the networking I did, the people I met there, I met Jace there, met Siege there, met Reese there, met B Right there. And I ended up working with those people. I met Jamil there. I met Cam Kirk there. So many names that realistically, yeah, Atlanta, but then where were we all? Every day we were in the AUC. And I think that's not like a new story. Like, that's why I said Canon Drama.
Yeah.
I think they're another like similar story of some people who, were in the AUC and then were involved in like literally Atlanta history, everything that was happening, or they had their imprint involved in what was happening in the city, but they were just probably some kids in college,
Sir. So E just joined us. What's up, Ephraim? Is your mic on? But anyway, E
You
just
gotta hit
joined us.
unmute.
Yeah, this man muted right now. That shit, man. It's crazy like how timing can play such a big role in your life. The people that you met during that period of your life are still people that we see you around, people that you call friends, people that you still do work with. So and also it's crazy that in your own discipline that a lot of those names, like Joe Freshgoods, those are people that you consider contemporaries now. Those are people that you probably had conversations with, people that you start to get around more as you move up in your own discipline. Right or wrong? Have you?
Well, I mean, man, I'm a friends and family oriented person. I always try to work with people I know. In the way I met different people, it's just interesting, Like for instance, Joe Freshgoods. I just know Joe Freshgoods because he worked at a store in Chicago called Leaders, and I'm originally from Chicago. So when I used to go back home, I used to go to Leaders, and it was Vic and it was Joe, and they were like the cool kids there. You know what I mean? So it's like they were working in the store. If people don't know, like Leaders, it seemed like their new era account at the time when, like, again, everybody wanted to fit it was just bananas. Like these guys had whatever colorway, whatever texture fitted they wanted consistently for their Chicago store. I think I also learned that new era. I think they got Sample Factory in Chicago and stuff like that. Neither here nor there. They just have first dibs on crazy new eras. And I lived in Atlanta, but I always used to go back home and I would go rock with them. And they would like show me love, discounts, throw me free hats. But then Joe, I need to text him about this too, because this nigga or this guy, sorry, but he had like
It's all good.
he had a bow on a keychain, like something very small he was doing selling. I was like, man, I really need one of those. He already had the name Joe Fresh Goods. And yeah, he might have been the odd one of the circle. But at the end of the day, I knew like, okay, something about him, like something about this guy is like cool. You know what I mean? I don't even know. And I feel like he kind of like set himself apart, you know, a long time ago. But that's just on him. That's where that relationship comes from. Like, or Anwar, Casey Veggies 2-9, you know, it was all the same time on the internet. But I think it's really Anwar's relationship with Reese and me being so close to Reese is what, you know, I'm like, oh, you tight. You know what I mean? He was like, we low key though in so many ways. But, you know, I don't want to have too many comparisons because, you know, again, these are people I look up to. I feel like I'm still, you know, I'm still on my path. But I'm trying to do like, you know, following their footsteps for so many words for Atlanta outside of like names we could already name, like Nigo, Fujiwara. If you don't know, Fujiwara too, I feel like that's some shit I gotta like push to the forefront. Just for our community, like, you know, we need to know different stuff. Like, we need to know the backstories on streetwear that is like common knowledge in New York or LA. Or fashion history in New York and LA in a certain district is common knowledge. But in Atlanta, it's like, where did all those people congregate and make millions? I think it still needs to be defined, but it's coming together.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I mean, definitely. I mean, as you touch on all that, man, just everybody that you've been connected with throughout this time, and you know, even as you just speak on that, like the education and like common knowledge piece. I mean, you know, even just share some more like knowledge and texture for you, because I know you mentioned like, you know, obviously graphic design as well, but I mean, there's a couple other things that you do outside of that. So kind of, if you can, like delve into just a lot of, you know, a couple of the other disciplines that you're involved in and that you know that you're proficient in, and like what was your start there, like what inspired you to get there, and even just like what you're doing now, like how does that got into where it's at now outside of just what you mentioned earlier?
Well, so I think that, yeah, that's interesting because I feel like one thing I noticed is just like with the whole idea of creative direction, like that whole even idea came in the common knowledge. I feel like after we all started hearing Virgil's name, like, oh, Virgil, what does he do? Oh, he's a creative director at Donda. Now, if you're like, I feel like if you were working at a high fashion brand or even at a different like Supreme in 2006 and stuff, you knew like, oh, Angelo Bach is their creative. But people don't know that type of stuff like in Atlanta, like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
but around Virgil, I feel like he kind of like popularized or helped to popularize that idea for the mainstream. Like, who's the guy behind Kanye? You know what I mean? And then so I just personally, because with my own experience too, it's just like I was like, oh well, apparently I'm doing creative direction for 2-9, and it's just an idea more I adopted. I didn't. It's not that I learned it in art school, but it was just like, well, I'm styling and I'm making merchandise and I'm doing cover art and I'm coming up with video concepts and I'm finding directors and photographers and to do things, and I'm finding the artists to do Fat Kids Brother cover
Yeah, I
art.
mean
Like,
that's all just like that all of what you're doing, that just falls into that line right there. So even just
that's what it is.
by default, just through what you were doing already.
Right. So we had also two one of the I first you know, one of the most special moments in my whole career, I feel like. And it's like, you know, it's not necessarily, it doesn't thrive in Atlanta like it was at this period, but like, for instance, creative loafing, I feel like the relevance amongst the youth and like the movers and shakers of Atlanta was like a lot. When I was coming up here, it was a lot more like, oh, this is in creative loafing. Or like when Freako did the cover, it was a big deal. When Fresh I Am was on the cover, it was a big deal. Like, you know, and then 2-9 getting on the cover was like, that was a huge deal. And I remember when we did the interview with them, I told them I was doing creative direction for 2-9, and they were more receptive to it than anybody else I had ever talked to in the city. And like, I got an excerpt because of that. And I was like, wow, okay. Like, it's, a form of validation, which I think that's part of press too. Like, now we have likes, but like, it used to be like, oh, I made the newspaper,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Exactly.
that's it, like, they validated it. They validate, they have a history of validating the cool or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
That's a
So
it's a
that was
good
like a
point.
moment when I like was like, oh, this is dope, and people will be receptive to that. And I told people that, like, I'm doing creative direction for 2-9, and told XXL that, and it was like dope. It was like, finding a definition, of what was maybe seemed unorganized for a long time. Like, I'm just doing everything I can, you know.
So what gives you validation now that you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Man, really, it'd be the smallest stuff, like, cause I'd be like, I don't look get the most likes in the world, but then I feel like I look at that with inflation now
Mm-hmm.
that we're in 2020 and Instagram is how they're a lot of people's form of validation, but like, I ain't even necessarily respond to the email yet, but there was a kid that was like, I'm writing a paper on you, and it's the same questions you guys are asking me, and it's not the first time it's happened, but it's just like, that's all I need. Some
Mm-hmm.
one kid, like, or
Right.
somebody was like, yeah, or people say the GOAT a lot. I don't know if I'm, Michael Jackson with it. That shit crazy, but you know what I mean? It's like, okay to have for somebody to feel that. I was like, all right, well, that's real enough for me to. Or I tell people too, if you can sell one, you can sell two. If you can sell two, you can sell four. If you sell four, you can sell eight. That's a great motto to look at things, because if you have growth, then why not continue?
Mm-hmm. So how do you measure your successes? Like, is there like in business you're like, oh, I want to meet this number, or I want a certain person to win my stuff, or want to have this relationship? Like, how do you measure your progress and your success?
Well, because I'm not, I feel like I'm more of a creative than like a business oriented person. I never really, um, well, along my path, I wasn't always paying attention to numbers,
Mm-hmm.
but I think also business and the harsh realities of it teach you that it's sometimes more important than the art if you're trying for for the common form of validation, It's like, yeah, people validate art, but then is it selling? Or do other people love it? So, you know,
I
um,
cut through. I kind of get what you're saying right there. My bad about that too, butting in, but it's about like just to add on to that. Like I kind of see what you mean as far as like how that perspective cutting through, as far as from the business aspect and from the like creative realm and the art aspect, because that's what I think that's what deems like a good product. If that makes sense.
let me tell you too, though, on some shit too, like just to build on that, like the artists, and I've had this conversation, like, and I'm gonna go find them too, a couple of my art teachers. And what will make that shit like really looked at. It's all about the future and down the line, I got to shout out, just, Beastroy, all kinds, even I walked in a fashion show. I'm like, okay, well, it's different. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm not even knowing what's gonna happen in the world in 2020 where it's like, what, you not doing high fashion streetwear? Like you just trying to do, but it's like that was preemptive and like a futurist idea where it's like, okay, this art is gonna be. And the way I look at it too with my brand, it's like, yeah, limited releases, collaborations that speak to colors. And I'm not trying to drop another orange bandana. And like me and Anwar did that when we did it. I don't, I'm not even trying to return to that till he ready. If he not ready, I don't even got to do another orange bandana again. I'm not even pressed to do orange. Like,
Mhm.
but that's what will make that one special. Is like that somebody's like, well, yeah, you got it, but you don't got the orange one. No, you don't. Like that was that time. That's not this time. And time, validates some good artwork.
So speaking of the future, how have you been maneuvering, through this year with the pandemic and COVID? Have you changed your approach on certain things, or like what's been going on?
Well, I feel like the whole thing about me too. I did not go to like fashion school. I went to Clark for art, and I just kind of like studied my peers and stuff and the people that came before me. So, but also too, when you're like, when you're figuring stuff out, it's like you're figuring it out. So it's like this year was the first year I would say that I literally had like the year planned ahead, and then it went to like, and I think that happened to a lot of people. Well, a lot of your plans didn't come to pass because of the pandemic, or they didn't happen the way you had imagined them.
Mm-hmm.
But I still was, this year was just ready to like let go and just like, because I feel like I spent a lot of time too trying to like, okay, I want to have a couple of collaborations under my belt. I want to have, an array of different releases and time frames and pop-ups, maybe in different places and complex con and whatever, so then I did all those things, and then after I did a lot of the things that I promised myself this year, I only promised to travel and turn up the notch like how I was when I was just first started. Like, well, anything I can make, I'm gonna try to make it, and then after I make it, you know i'm a I'm gonna figure it out. But it's like, it's no, this year, the years before this year and to this point was a lot more calculated. But now that I feel like, and me and Cam Kirk was just talking about this earlier, and shout out to Cam Kirk, but it's like, I don't want to just, this, I'm working on like cement, that's what I'm building, and I'm working on making something out of stone, not, so it's like, once I started to feel like, oh, it's starting to like it's starting to get real solid, then I'm like, okay, then, well, I don't know. Like and I'll talk to E about that too. I'm way more open to just doing things now because I'm not, no matter what anybody thinks, I know with the majority, how the majority feel. So I'm comfortable. And, I'm firing on all cylinders, looking at like an old folder of designs like, oh, okay, I can drop all these, you know?
Yo, let me answer this one. Like real quick. It's like a two-pronged question, just to like add lib off like what you're just saying. So, first part of the question, like, since everything is happening, how you just explained, like your process has changed as far as like just planning out everything for the future. Like as you're planning, like how important is your process on like just your research and the research that you do? It speaks to like your perspective, like wholeheartedly. Like um, I read a book before called "Still Like an Artist," and it's like an artist knows how to use a reference and create something new out of that reference that comes from them. So that's like the first part of the question. And then I would say the second part would be, with doing that, like what would be some of like your advice that you would like take, like, tell the younger you and be like, yo, if you had somebody like your age right now that went through everything and can like just reach back and be like, yo, like, do it this way instead of like doing it this way, or like, don't worry about this little stuff because like this is gonna happen down the road. So yeah.
Well, it's a couple things. I feel like first and foremost, I feel like education is important. It's one of the most important things, and I feel like even like I feel like with a Kanye West, right? Like college dropout and a lot of those things inspired a lot of like free thinkers and stuff like that. And you'll find like a lot of people dropped out, but then a lot of the things you learn when you can press through that, you know, really will help you out, down the line. Creativity is important, but the education behind whatever business field you want to be in is super important as well. Like I was telling somebody, and I hate to keep name dropping or whatever, but like Mike Will is educated on the music business far beyond a lot of what people know. So when you want to figure out how he navigates, how he does, and the way he treated it, it's on a business mindset, which that's important. A good business mindset will make mediocrity shine over the coolest thing in the world. It's like, yeah, it's cool, but what about the service, So I feel like that's important. And then two, it's like consistency is so key. Like I started Original Fani, and then I was, started working with 2 9, and it started going up so much that I was just like, okay, well, after this gets to where I wanted to get, then I'll go back and get Original Fani. But then it was like in the aftermath, I was like, oh, I gotta focus on this because this is me. But it's like you gotta be able to do more than one thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like you gotta focus on yours and a job. Like it's nothing wrong with that either. Job, education, school, yeah, they go far. You know what I mean? In the quick route. But the route, also with fashion too, it's like, it's really a marathon. It's like I like saying this too because it was so interesting to me. But I was talking to my mom. She was like, "Yo, you gotta you might think about one day, putting money away for your 401k and stuff like that." And I was just thinking, like, what? Like, there's not ever going to be a point where I can't get fly and I can't, sell my clothes. You know what I mean? Like, the older I get, the tighter actually it would be. It's like Kung Fu Master type vibes, not like, oh, 4 years and I was super hot and somebody came behind me. Like, nah, you could just go forever. And Supreme story, Stussy story, all the streetwear stories, they got a long story. Or everybody don't know, but that's what's always so, that's why the history is important. If you knew Matt was on Ben Trill before Alex, then you would be like, oh, okay, that's why he even had the knowledge. If you knew Mega worked for Huff, if you knew Huff worked for Supreme, New Palace came for Supreme, I think that's too, that knowledge and that. Then you would be like, okay, well, I got so much time to try this, and then this will work, and then I can go back and reinvent myself. Or how people appreciate progression. Like, I can drop this shirt with no tags, and I don't feel like everybody should drop shirts with no tags at the same time. I'm doing the interview right now. I don't feel like everybody can drop shirts with no tags, like, cause shirts, like when you drop them, your presentation is key, but don't let not having tags stop you from making a T-shirt and giving it to your homies and doing the lookbook. Because when you do the lookbook, we can't see the tag yet, you know. So it's like put it together, then go do the next. And Virgil and Heron, they did that. They went in the V files with the Ben Trill for $100 with no tag. Don't forget now they could have Travis Scott wear it, and it was working for Ye, so they knew why they didn't have to have tags. But you know, again, if you just think about your family, you're like, okay, I'm gonna just use my family. They don't care about not having tags, which is another thing. Friends and family, build your family. You can go give all your friends the T-shirts for free, and then go see how that works out. And then after you do that, maybe y'all all do a pop up and y'all charge people y'all don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't, like you said, you don't know until, I mean, just trying, man. I mean, just hearing all that just really speaks to, you know, just your focus and everything. And even as, you know, we're talking about this whole time and things of that nature and how we like pivot in, adapt in, and just like the identity. I mean, you're live and direct in a space of your own. I mean, like cultivate, you know, in this process and currently like cultivating. I mean, describe how all that just like came about and what your mission and focus is with a physical space in a digital world, as we're all talking like digitally, you know, virtually right now. I mean, speak on like the importance of just like where you're at right now, how that came about, and just your focus and mission moving forward, just being here, being in Atlanta. We're all Atlanta based. So like the importance of like furthering that narrative, like, hey man, like there's things that hold weight and power here, like in the city, including in the you know, a space of your own.
Well, man, I think that's something else. Hey, hold on. Hold on 1 second.
I appreciate the other peeps that are in here with us, man. Speaking with Fani, first virtual version of Exhibit A. And we'll definitely open up the floor if anybody happens to have some questions for the man towards the end. So appreciate y'all once again.
All right, bro. Physical location. Okay, so basically what we was just the whole thing about it was and I think this, it didn't come out of the panel, but it's like this part of the dream, I feel like. So it's just like I mentioned it earlier too, how like, man, you know, it's about you gotta have an optimistic attitude, you know. And it's like, again, we're blessed to be in Atlanta where, you know, stuff is kind of open. And you know, you know, again, uh you know, my condolences and everything to everyone who's been affected in a negative way, you know, by this pandemic. But, you know, I feel like, again, if we had a lot more media coverage in Atlanta that was true to that, it would have Atlanta in like a vice grip. But because we don't have that same media that might validate my fashion, you know, we're in this sort of bubble where, you know, we can thrive. And, you know, even with this physical space, it's like through COVID and stuff, I've had time to sit here, focus, and, you know, figure out the plan to get everything together and make this what I want it to be. And again, this is a closet, you know, a space that, again, a lot of people been to. And, you know, it's for us. It's not even just for me. My whole thought when I came up with the name or anything was just like, well, I can't. First off, I need a different type of capital to just do my own flagship. I'm not gonna cap with y'all. Like my, you know. But this is a work in progress. So,
Absolutely.
you know, there's nothing
I
wrong
think
with that.
that's though, Fani. I mean, I think like you saying so much good stuff, bro. It's like nowadays, I think a lot of people want things to be so perfect, but like right now, with the times the way it's going, I think people are starting to finally understand that like we don't live in a perfect world. Like
For
anything,
sure.
anything can just go up in flames at any point in time. Like your plane can get destroyed in a matter of seconds. It's about like really understanding how to bounce back or like be like figuring it out almost not everything on the fly, but when it's necessary, like you know how to pivot and have that contingency plan to get you through that tough time to where you can properly plan. But like you're saying, like, yeah, of
But
course.
also too, not to cut you off, but if you look at it like as a tough time, like, you know, that's why I said it's from a perspective. You know what I mean? You know, I don't want to. I'm not just to say I'm an entrepreneur, but I haven't had a 9 to 5, you know, in a while. So, and again, like I always say, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's important. But because, okay, wait, go next door. Yeah. Um, like because of the time, it's like, yeah. Because of the time, I definitely like looked at it as like, okay, well, this is the time where I have to, you know, I have to unleash like COVID started, and I was like, well, I don't want to be sitting on any clothes because I don't even know if, you know, that'll be a relevant thing to purchase and invest into in a second. Like maybe clothes ain't gonna be a good idea in the second. So I was like, any samples or anything I have it laying around, let me put that up to sell. You know what I mean? And you know, it worked out. And then again, same thing with the space, like where a lot of wholesalers and stuff like that had to shut down their space and stuff like that. Like I was able to like pivot, but it wasn't even a pivot because it's naturally been the same thing pre-COVID and everything, which is like, oh, if you know me, you can come, you know, support my brand, Ease brand. You know, you might not even be like, I love Fani, but you might be able to come here and support somebody else that you know. It's very like, again, it's family, local oriented. That's also so like if you look through the history of streetwear, it's all about that. And that's something that was a point I made at a panel, but it's like, bro, Stussy and Macy's, like it happened and stuff like that. But when they first started, it was like, wait, we're not gonna be like if we get into a retail store, we're gonna probably have to finesse it. So that's not what we're thinking about. We're actually thinking about getting our own space first and then just to sell our own stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then if we can do that right, then maybe we can start wholesaling to other people because we can make more that way. But it's like, you know, it's that whole foundation ideology, you know what I mean? And they go back to Joe Fresh Goods where it's like, he got Fat Tiger and his brothers. I think one of the most beautiful things I've seen, which nobody, it wasn't documented the way it should have been. Like it's crazy, but what during All-Star Weekend? I mean, because it's only like Joe getting the shine of it. That's how it would work out. But during All-Star Weekend, due to the fact that Joe left Adidas, though hell, Fat Tiger did Adidas collabs. I'm talking about Des had 2 shoes, Vic had 2 shoes, and Vita had 2 shoes. They all had, you know, it's All-Star Weekend. It's that's Nego level. That's like no, that's 2 brands. That's the whole squad too. Them
Mm-hmm.
two though. I don't care what they following is. They with me, so they tight. That's all you need to know. So yeah, when everybody get on the same page, but that's not a thing.
That's what it's
I mean,
about.
you know.
Yeah, just being in one accord, man. That's major right there. You mentioned the whole Stussy Macy's thing, man. I remember that short time. I came up on a lot of stuff in Macy's during that time. That was short lived though,
Right.
to the point of like it not being true to. I mean, they already have had their foundation, and that was an interesting time. But understanding like, hey, we need to go back to just what's worked for us and find ways within that structure to amplify what we already know we're capable and possess. You know what I'm saying? So like what you're saying, like, hey, you already know what you're capable of, and seeing what what you provide and do, and you're not necessarily seeing it as a pivot, but like this is what I'm doing anyway, and now I'm going along with that flow and being confident in my decision making and execution with things, man. That's admirable, and I think a lot of people can take things from that, trying to I'm trying to figure it out, or like what's next, or planning A through Z, knowing that, man, try to get the A first and then work toward B. So that's like really strong points there, from you in regards to that for sure, man. Big ups.
I appreciate that.
Of course, man. Of course. Do you have any I'm not sure if you have anything presented. I see obviously behind you is like some product. Is there like any work or anything of that nature that you want to share, like possibly today
Well, I
or
mean,
anything
again,
you
we
were
had
saying?
closet, so that's tight,
Yeah.
right there. And then,
Yeah.
I was actually about to go home, but I was like, no, actually, I should stay here for the meeting or the Zoom. And then this is a picture of ISIS, and like these pants are like, again, they're really some samples, bro, to be honest, but they're
That's a fire.
an idea. It's like, which I love. I also learned that from Supreme and stuff. Like, they used to show people the box logo for a long time. They were showing people the box logo every year. And it's like, yo, bro, y'all not even gonna drop that box logo. Like, why are y'all still showing me that? Because you want it. So that's how they like branded that and rebranded that. I was talking to Reese about that. Like, well, how do you get the box logo? Well, we keep showing you can't get it yet. So I try to brand with that kind of like ideology, because okay, even if I'm not ready, you might be more ready than I am, and you'll probably wait on it, because I wait on it. Like, what? I've been hitting up Pierre Moss for this Sean John jacket. That's just, I know they got it. I'm not even, but that jacket was special. You know what I mean? It's so crazy, bro. So I'm just like, when that jacket comes, that's the piece that it don't even matter. I'm already in love with it. Even if I don't love the whole brand, I need that. And then I might get a different T-shirt after I get that jacket, because I'll be like, I'm with that, But the jacket is crazy, and I learned that. Like, bandanas also, I'm glad no one asked me about that, because we were like, come on, bro. But at
Speaks
the
for
end of the
itself.
day, bandanas are also very unique. I think, like, before somebody says the bandana, I would like you to say why accessories, because accessories, I learned, is just like people can use those. They have a higher frequency weight in your closet than anything. I have some of the T-shirts. It's like,
Wristband.
what
Yeah,
T-shirt am I gonna
we
wear?
here.
But then you might be like, that's my hat that I'm wearing for these months every day, or 3 hats every day. I don't know. I'd like to,
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of accessories, but people have their favorite ones, or staple in the closet of accessories. So that's something why, I thought about that initially, but then too, it's just like, it's a unique accessory. I've come across so many people who are like, I don't wear bandanas at all. And like, it seems like everyone wears a hat or a snapback or socks, you know? So, or a belt, like, it's essential. I don't think bandanas are essential. They're like even more of a novelty ideology than, like, again, a hat or dad hat or keychain. Everyone likes a keychain. So yeah, I'm getting into more products right now, but it's like my focus has always been accessories, and I preview products and stuff while I'm getting it right, because again, it's something I want to do, and it's going to happen. But when the time is right, I'm in a rush, but I'm not going to rush myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just in a rush to
Right,
see it
right.
happen.
I kind of wanted to go back to Closet and ask you how important it was that you got into the space that you're in right now. Like, why Peter Street, and how will you continue to navigate as that area changes? As you see, like, I was over there a couple weeks ago, and they just like threw up all these apartments, and more
Right.
people
Crazy,
starting to move in, and the city's changing, man. But you are in a good position to really take advantage of that as things push forward.
Yeah, I mean, well, so that I have, well, just saying that I have to big up City of Ink, Tukey Carter, Maya Bailey, because they, to me in Atlanta for a long time, represented, an underground Black creative crowd and then a Black creative crowd, because it's just
Mhm.
like, let's not even say it, because it's not really underground. You just say it's underground because it's not maybe the mainstream in Atlanta. Because I feel like the hood is the mainstream in Atlanta, and
Mhm.
it's not even that that's limited. The hood has artists as well, but they represent like just that creative mindset. It don't really come. I guess it doesn't come from like an area of town. It just comes from a way of thinking. But
Mhm.
that's why I align with them. And a lot of people did. Corey Davis, Maya Bailey, I mean, not Maya Bailey, because Maya Bailey's one of them. Paper Frank, Corey Davis, to name a few people. But I feel like we're just seeing their progress, and then they were very receptive to me, and especially Tukey has always been very supportive of doing cover art for him. Um, he reintroduced me to Wiz, um, and he used to throw me a lot of advice.
Mhm.
So like, that I feel like that's very important. That big homie stuff, and his willingness to accept. And then from there I just, again, I've always noticed a void, and filled the void with what I want.
Mhm.
Because I also peeped Cam Kirk said this in Vice, in like when he was narrating Vice Atlanta stuff a while ago, but it's like, yo, we've been the epicenter of hip hop for 10 years now, 20, 15 maybe. So it's like, when you know that, you got to look at it like we like Brooklyn in the 90s. So it's like the brands that come out of here, if they got them, if you stay down and you don't sell out, the future endless. You never know which way it could go, But that's my whole thing. Dropping something and re-releasing it, and then 5, and then I'm gonna wait maybe 15 years after the 5, because there's 5 then 10, and then you probably make whatever you make after it off of it, just because you took that time investment. A marathon.
I feel it, man. So
absolutely.
mentorship was important in you, um, getting to Peter Street. It played a big role in you selecting that space for a closet, as opposed to going to Edgewood or going to Midtown or Buckhead.
Yeah, because like I was trying to say too, like or if I'd left it out, it's like I've been coming over here for shit 13 years. Like
Hmm.
Clark, going to Clark, well, this right up the street,
Hmm.
pizza, and cool people. City of Ink was having art shows all the time back then. So it's like, that's something to do. Let's go to the art show at City of Ink for
Hmm.
the cool kids. That was before, like, kids were having money for spaces and Murmur Gallery. It was like, if you were a tight artist kid,
Hmm.
you would be up here, RP, but I think I met Arbery up here at City of Ink.
Hmm.
Um, and just, the whole, Speaker Fox would be deep, like the whole creative scene in Atlanta, they would at least pass through City of Ink. And then so would everyone else, because it's like they doing the tattoos. So like you got a little bit of every walk, but those who appreciate creativity, they over here, So I've been over here. Slice before it was Spin, I mean, they used literally would just play like you Tribe Called Quest and stuff like that. It
Hmm.
became more of a party vibe as time went on, and the internet and Atlanta, people started paying more attention to Atlanta.
Mhm.
But this has always been like, there's so many art galleries around here and everything. It's like this has always been like kind of like a creative part of the city.
Okay. So here's another question for you. So when you travel, or when you did travel, how did you take that inspiration back home? How did you take things that inspired you, back to Atlanta to continue your work?
Well, I feel like, I mean, it's different. It's different for every place, damn near. But like in New York, you learn, well, people maximize anything they got. Everyone got a little crib. Everyone got a little crib that costs a lot of money. They got a little store that costs a lot of money, and they compartmentalize and they maximize it. And if you can do it there, you know, this is like a phrase or a cliche already, but if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. Because anywhere else would be like, well, this is a cakewalk because you don't know the conditions I was in. So I
Mm-hmm.
look at it like I play video games, but some people turn it on hard
Mm-hmm.
for the challenge. And then, it's more fun. I feel like in Atlanta, I found some comfortability, but that's helped at times, and then at times it hasn't helped. So um, that's just a way to look at that.
I feel it. Cool.
Funny,
Did I answer that right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Funny, like just aside from like, just product and making what you make, like what's some of the other things like outside of just like culture things that like inspire you to do what you do? Like what's that one like, off the Richter scale, like what's that one thing that like, all right, boom, like this inspires me and this helps me like be funny and like create original fun.
Yeah, I think it's product, Japan, and then also just my peers and stuff. Like I am trying to make people proud, people around me, and I know enough people who have understanding of where I'm trying to take it to. So it's like it never bothers me. Like all this stuff I love, even till this day, it's not really, it's like it won't be super mainstream. And then if it became super mainstream, like would I like it the same? I don't know. Like I've seen like Cardi or Travis Scott in Mastermind, but like once, and then still didn't catch after that. And I'm like, yeah, because that's something I like, and it's for different people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But if that's the shit I look at to like that I'm like in love with, that I like, it's like, well, I'm not really tripping on what, because that's what I like. I like super niche stuff. You know what I mean? And I know you still can make $1 million doing that. Like, or if that's, or you can still impress who you want to. I remember like Bait. If you like Bait, you like Jay Electronica at one time. Now it's not like that anymore. But at one time it was like that's how it was. That's why they did a tape together. Clips, all that. You just liked it together. It all fit together. So it's like that's how I look at my stuff. Like even the artists and stuff I choose to work with, like they'll be big as hell, but to they people, but then they won't be like super validated yet. But then it's like that's even cooler to me. Like, Shad the guy, like people introduced me to him. I didn't even know he was that hard, but it is like, oh, it's like kind of underground, but the people who count know. So that's all it's about. Key, you know what I mean? It's like, man, he wanted the coldest, but at the end of the day, everybody like don't know, but it don't affect how I love it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I know that's all that's important. That ain't all that's important to me, but in the long run, you're gonna have people saying like, he the artist. Actually you didn't know this is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's hard. Or it's underlying my favorite. Like I like Young Thug, and everybody do, but then I like Key. Like he really slick harder than bro. You know what I mean? But it's like it's different. But I don't know Young Thug. You know what I mean? I know Key. Like I don't know these guys. But all my friends and stuff, That's what I build my team, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the mentality. Everyone had that mentality. That shit went really far. Kanye, Virgil, ASAP, build your own, and then later in the future you could just stand on that. You know what I mean? Everybody
Mm-hmm.
will be dope.
And, that's one thing that I feel that a lot of people in Atlanta actually have a good understanding of, especially like on the music side of it. You see Little Baby and Gunna and Thug and Key, all these people, it could be whoever Cardi, Uzi, well, Uzi's not from Atlanta, but whoever, Key, 2 9, everybody has a sense of community. Like, hey, these are my people. I started off with them. I'm gonna grow with them. If I blow up first, then I'm gonna throw the boot to my brother.
Yeah,
And that's one thing that I feel other cities lack.
no, definitely.
So I have another question for you. It's
And that'll make you stay here. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest, like
mm,
even with the whole thing with Closet, it's like, no, I'm gonna build mine here,
mm-hmm,
and we all gonna go up together, and that's gonna be that's gonna be its own story. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. That actually
Like,
was the next
Why
question.
not?
You could have gone anywhere, but you decided to stay here. You know.
yeah, I mean, not all. It wasn't all the right reasons that made me make that decision. Like, it's a lot of love here, and it's like I've been comfortable here.
Mm-hmm,
And that's why I was like, when we talked about New York or LA. Like, LA is like for free spirits and free thinkers and people who think also in an abstract way. And I feel like, that's something that is lacks here. You know what I mean? How many,
mm-hmm,
we got a museum, but how many museums do we have? How many different types do we have? What's the frequency of that? Is that shit looked at as like celebrity the way Compound is? No. So we need to stop acting like, that's what it is. Although maybe somebody can make a museum, or maybe we could start popularizing different museums and stuff on Auburn that's falling off. I don't know, but me and B Wright talked about that one time, which I feel like is super dope. And I like that. In Atlanta, you can come here and create. Like, what do you want to do? I don't know. I want to make a restaurant.
mm-hmm,
You know, somebody told me, like, Atlanta, it is one of the top places in the world to come and start a restaurant. It's cheap, and a lot of new restaurants pop up here and last 4, 5, 6, 10 years, and or spread out all around the city and start popping up in different places. That shit don't happen in other places. It's like, it takes a lot more to have 2 Delias in New York. It's like, what? 3 burgers, 2 Delias, 4 Jenny's. Those are new establishments. You know what I mean? Or like 10 Arden's Gardens and have it in every Publix. They don't got Arden's Garden in New York. That's that. They franchised all around Atlanta. It's like, because you can, and I think that's another thing I've seen in Atlanta. Like, you be with your homie one year, he on the couch. Next year, he damn XXL freestyle. Next year, he damn in LA. You like, what the hell? But we all can see that happen so fast in Atlanta. It's not a far-fetched dream. Success, money, this, that.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
It's like, you just gotta buckle down, dude. Like, but my time coming. You can have that feeling here.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's one of the reasons I stayed.
And I think we about ready to close it out. Wanted to see if you had any final words, any parting gifts for the people to think about moving
And
forward.
shout out to everybody who checked in. I don't know how many people checked in, but
Yeah,
y'all here. We good.
Yeah, actually, someone in the chat commented, or they didn't have a question, but just kind of like some feedback. They're like, "Thank you for your time, Fani, Player 99, crew, and Elliot. Simply tuned in because I was just interested in hearing a local creative story. I'm not in the fashion world, but there's something that can be taken in from any field discipline. Really enjoyed hearing your startup story and your comments about navigating around this virus. Your work is dope. Definitely checking out more of your stuff after this event ends. So you touch somebody, bro. That's the big thing too. So
If I could touch one, I could touch two. Be good.
yes,
Hmm.
that's it.
See you at the pop up.
There it is. Pop up. That's coming soon, man. We definitely gotta map out some things. I know you and E definitely chop up a good bit too. But yeah, man. I've always appreciated what you do, man, thoroughly. Um, like for real. So yeah, please keep going because we just need more of these things like going on here, man. Like in our space, in our city, as I feel like, man, the times are truly changing. So what does that look like? Who are the trailblazers for that? So you're definitely up there, man. So like nothing but respect from me to you, man.
Bet.
We appreciate it, man. I know I definitely do. I know the team definitely does. Yeah, man, definitely for you being a top conduit here in Atlanta, man. You connecting from the top to the bottom here, man, and how you're doing it through your own perspective, and also just like being that leader for kids to kind of see like you can really do this if you want to, if you want to stay somewhere, if you want to stay grounded in the community, and just build upon that story, plant those seeds so they grow. And just understand, it's about patience and just mapping out your future and your story for what you want to do and how you want to do it. So again, I appreciate it, man. Like always, bro. We're gonna wrap some more to go ahead and get some other things squared away for the future. But I got nothing else. But like I said, man, I definitely appreciate it, bro. Like always.
Yeah, we need to put it together. Luke, let's link up. All of us, like y'all come through the store, let's link up, let's, make it bigger.
For sure.
For sure.
Down.
Absolutely, man.
I
Appreciate you.
bet.
Appreciate you being here for the return of Exhibit A. Much love to you, Fani. Thank you so much, man. We'll definitely we'll be connected. Be in touch.
I bet.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Have a good night.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
too. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.